Ladies in the kitchen, Lucy, Chelsea, how do you feel about my smelling like Eau de French fry?
Okay, I was curious. Is it just a salty smell? Like, do you smell like potatoes?
I think y'all need to order one and see.
And I can go to town and we can find out.
I'll let Joe bathe in that.
Anyone that knows me, I have the biggest weakness for French fries. They're like my favorite.
Love some French fries.
Food.
Now,
it's so
what
bad.
kind of French? From where?
I'm really not a crinkle cut
understandable
person, though. If they are seasoned, I like it.
Yeah.
My husband has a barbecue restaurant in Dothan called Pig Out, and they do crinkle fries, and I was like, I don't know. But they have an awesome seasoning on them, so I like those. But basically any French fry.
Yeah.
I don't like sweet potato fries, though.
Me either.
We're the only ones.
Yep. Don't like sweet potato fries, but I will eat a regular potato fry.
Yeah.
So speaking of potatoes,
here's some potatoes.
Here.
Yes, I was just cutting up 1.5 pounds of red potatoes just into quarters.
Yeah.
And we are going to put our potatoes and our cabbage and our carrots with our corned beef.
Ooh.
So we have St. Patty's coming up this weekend, and I always like to make some corned beef, of course, with veggies around St. Patrick's Day. And it's funny, I love corned beef and I love to make Reuben sandwiches, but it's one of those things kind of like turkey. It's like, it's so great, but you only do it one time a year, which is silly, but it's super easy to cook, and you can cook it several different ways. The easiest way definitely being in the slow cooker, and that's what we're going to do today, like I mentioned, but you can also roast it in the oven. You can braise it, which is a combination of roasting and you put liquid in there, which is braising. So it's pretty versatile, and you can do it a bunch of different ways. But we're just gonna talk about this way today, and you can do whatever veggies you want.
So this bowl of veggies, and will you use this whole pack of corned beef?
Yes. So
about how many do you think that'll feed?
It will feed probably like 8 people.
That's a good amount.
And this is they come like this in the meat department, and we have them on sale this week, of course, for St. Patty's Day. And this one is about 3 pounds. Yeah. So they're 2.5 to 3.5 pounds or so. So they come different sizes, and it'll show you the weight on here. And I'm gonna get that opened up and rinsed off. And then we'll put the whole thing in here, and we'll see it when we open it up. It's kind of like that, but thick. Yeah. And so you can do a combination of whatever veggies, but I have 1.5 pounds of red potatoes, and I have a pound of cabbage that I just kind of chopped up
beautifully, by the way.
Thank you.
Looks great. So of course we can get all of these ingredients at Greer's, but what's the latest going on at Greer's?
We are ready for St. Patrick's Day. A lot of people are going to be out and about. We're getting ready for spring at the stores, which is definitely a fun time.
A happy time.
I know, it is a happy time for sure. We are making plans for our grand opening at our newest Ace store down at our store at Bailey's Corner in Fowl River. So if anybody's on their way to the island this weekend or anytime, stop in there. And so we're going to be getting that ready for April, the first part of April. So I'll give y'all more details about that later. But
sounds fun. So when we come back with Joe,
we're going to get our seasoning mixed up for our corned beef, and we'll get it in the crock pot. So I just put some salt and pepper on these vegetables and just tossing it up a little bit.
Awesome. Well, it looks good.
Thank you.
I may have to take a bite of these raw vegetables. I'm so hungry this morning. Joe?
We were learning during the commercial break.
We were.
So we were digging deep into what actually corned beef is. Tell them what you figured out.
Yeah, so I was brushing up on my knowledge as well.
Yes.
So we're making corned beef today, and corned beef is a relatively inexpensive cut of beef, part of the brisket, and then they cure it, cure or brine, in a solution of water and sodium nitrate. And some people, some companies, do a little bit of sugar and seasonings, so typical things you'd find in a brine. And they put it through that process, which keeps the color of the beef pink, kind of like if you bought hamburger meat and then you didn't use it immediately, it would turn brown. If you got it at Greer's, it would. If you got it at another larger chain or somebody that pumps, solution into the meat that will keep it pink, it wouldn't. But so that's what they do with this. So you want to kind of kind of cook it slow. We're going to cook it in the slow cooker today, but you could also roast it in the oven. So if you were going to do it in the oven, you would just do it at 325 degrees, about an hour per pound.
Okay.
So this is 3 pounds, so it would take about 3 hours to cook in the oven. And then when we slice it, you can kind of see kind of here the grain of the meat is up and down. And so with corned beef, you want to slice it against the grain. So if it's running this way, then you want to slice that way, and that way it'll be nice and tender for you. And if you've ever had a Reuben and you kind of take a bite and it like the whole thing pulls out, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It probably wasn't sliced against the grain. So when I make mine, I really like to slice it super thin, and then when you start slicing, you'll see kind of the end, a little bit of it will kind of fall apart and shred a little bit, and I like to do it like that.
Cut it thin to win.
Thin to win, yes.
So we've got this going on here. I see you've got some seasonings. You've got a beer. I've never seen this beer before.
Yeah, I asked Spiro to stop and get this stuff for me, and I was like, I don't know if there'll be, any Irish beer out there, but he picked that up at Greer's, and we have such an awesome beer selection. I love trying new beers, and I have seen that one before, but this is a Belgian one. Which I really like Belgian beers. This is a blonde, so it's pretty light. But you could use whatever beer you want. I mean, you could use Bud Light in here. It's no big deal. But it's kind of fun to try different beers.
It is fun.
So I am going to put about 2 teaspoons of brown mustard on here and just rub it in. And then we are going to use the seasoning packet that came with our corned beef, which is like mustard seed, coriander, a little bit of peppercorns and bay leaves. Anyway, and so we're going to use that already comes with it, and we're going to add a few other seasonings to it. So I'm just going to put this in here, and you want to do it the fat side up.
Fat side up.
Fat side up. So all that fat will, as it cooks, it'll seep down into the meat and help it stay moist. So that's definitely a good thing. So I'm going to take our little seasoning packet here and add it to half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, and a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm just going to sprinkle that on top.
All right, that sounds good. We'll keep watching this process.
Okay.
Getting you ready for St. Patrick's Day here on Studio 10 and with Greer's Markets. Go check out all they have to offer all across the Gulf Coast. We'll be back with Lucy in just a little bit. Thank you. Guys.
We are back in the kitchen with our dear friend Lucy, finishing up this incredible recipe. And for those who may just be tuning in, tell us what you're cooking.
Okay, today we are cooking our slow cooker corned beef with vegetables. So the vegetables we chose today are red potatoes and baby carrots and some cabbage. So of course we're getting ready for St. Patrick's Day this weekend, and we don't have much left on the table because we've put most everything in here. So we put those veggies down that I mentioned. We tossed a little salt and pepper in there, and then we took our corned beef brisket. We talked a little bit about that earlier, and we rubbed it with a couple teaspoons of some spicy brown mustard, and then I took the seasoning packet. I know, it really is. I took the seasoning packet that came with the brisket, and that you see the seeds in there. So there's some mustard seeds and coriander and some broken up bay leaves and a little bit of red chili flake, and I added just some garlic powder and salt and pepper to that. So now we're just going to sprinkle this on here.
So do you have to stir this, or you just keep it like that until it starts cooking?
That's the best part. You just keep it like this.
Low maintenance.
It's totally low maintenance. And that is what I love about the slow cooker. And you and I were talking about it earlier, using a slow cooker in general. And so many people love to use them. And I used mine a pretty good bit, probably not enough, considering how easy it is. My sister was making, put a Boston butt in hers the other day, and she was going to make, tacos, all these different things with it. And and she was like, do I need to flip it over? And I said, no. So that's the great thing. Once you put it in there, it's like you don't have to worry about it.
So we're not just sipping on this alcohol here.
Yeah, we're
actually using it.
We are. We're going to use the flavor of this beer. I'm just using a 12-ounce beer, and I'm just going to pour it around the sides. We don't want to knock off any of our flavor. Last time I did this, I was telling Mick, our awesome cameraman, that last time I used beer and water.
Right.
And really, it was kind of too much liquid, and the water wasn't even necessary. So I'm just going to use beer, and that's the only liquid that's going to go in here. And of course, anybody that cooks with a slow cooker knows that tons of moisture is produced in here. It comes out of the vegetables and the meat. So you're going to have a lot of liquid in there, and it's really enough. So at this point, all we're going to do is put the top on. We just cook it for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody asks me how long something goes in the slow cooker, I say 8 hours on low. So
It'll always be cooked after 8 hours.
8 hours on low. And then, you know, it's just going to slice up so easy.
Yeah.
And if anybody does have any leftovers, on our website, we have, you know, this recipe, of course, will be on both of our websites. And then the recipe for my Reuben sandwich is on there. So that's what I like to do with the leftovers. It's definitely my favorite sandwich.
Of course. Now, does it matter what kind of beer that you use?
No, good question. So
just 12 ounces?
Yeah, just 12 ounces of whatever beer. And if you don't want to use beer, you can absolutely just use water.
Yeah.
So that it would be just as delicious. This will just add a little bit of extra flavor and get us in the mood for St. Patrick's
I know that
Day.
we're excited, and this
Yeah.
looks and smells so good.
Thank
and as
you.
always, we're grateful that you're here.
Thank you. I always enjoy being
And like
here.
Lucy said, this recipe will be on her website, the Greer's website, and fox10tv.com under the Studio 10 tab. Lucy, it's good seeing you.
Thank you.
Joe.